Morning. It's December 23rd, about 6:45. Legal shooting light 6:50. Sunrise is at 7:20. We are on the Front Range of Colorado, hunting mule deer leftover late season tags. I've hunted this area 4 or 5 years. Not a real high deer population, but we found some places they frequent. We've seen moose and elk and some lynx up in here, so it's a neat area. It's a great way to extend the season. So come join us for a nice hunt today, and we'll check in with you here in just a minute. Well, we made it to our first glassing spot for the morning. Got a couple hunters ahead of me. They're moving up the ridge. And a nice, quiet, still morning. This is what we're looking at. This is the ridge that I've seen deer move in on in the past. Seen a couple elk cross through here, a bull moose. So we're just settling in, see what the morning has for us. This is a real nice open country, good for late season rifle. Lots of areas to sit down with the spotting scope and pick apart the hillsides and see if we can't see anything moving. Squirrels, they're always making noise. I guess that's their job. Still looking at this ridge. Right there is where they've come through a lot. It's right on the very edge of where we can hunt. There's a fence that runs through there we've got to be mindful of. So we'll just continue to sit here and glass. I got my spotting scope with my extra camera set up, my extra iPhone. We'll see if something comes out. We'll try and get some footage. Brought some snacks with us. Here's some snacking sticks I made this year's deer, and some jerky I made from this year's antelope. I vacuum seal them up in these bags and put them in the freezer. Then I throw them in the pack. It only takes maybe half an hour for them to thaw out. This makes a real nice snack when you're sitting here glassing. Keep your calorie count up from the hike. Also got my coffee. So we're going to sit here and have a little snack and glass this hill for about another hour. And if we don't see anything, we might move further on down the ridge and try a new spot. But it's been a real nice morning, nice and calm. No wind, which makes it easy to hear and easy for you to hear me. So I'll just keep looking. Well, it's 9 o'clock. We've been glassing this ridge for about an hour and 40 minutes. Haven't seen anything move around, haven't been able to pick anything up. So I think we'll pack our stuff up and head back to the truck. This afternoon we're going to grind up some hamburger, make some holiday snacks, and just nice, enjoyable late season hunt here today. So nice and calm and quiet this time of year with the snow. Really perfect weather, couldn't ask for much more. In the 30s, no wind, nice and calm. We glassed this ridge all morning long. We have all this ridge here I've been glassing back and forth. A lot of times you can pick up some deer way up on top here, making their way over. This morning's pretty quiet, pretty still. Not a lot of deer movement today. Still is really wonderful to get out here and enjoy God's country, all that He's created. So, thanks for joining me. I'll get some footage of hiking out, and we appreciate you watching. And as always, if you like our videos, please like and subscribe and hit that notification button so you can be alerted when we're uploading new videos. Thanks. Alright, we made it back to the truck from our late season mule deer doe hunt. We're about an hour's drive from home, and then this afternoon we're planning on grinding up some hamburger from our earlier season success, and we're going to make some sausage and some snacking sticks and beef jerky and maybe some pastrami, which we'll show you how we process all that up. Make some great snacks for the rest of the year and a few remaining hunts. So we'll show you all of our ways of processing all of God's gift and bounty from this year's seasons. Alright, so this is our setup out here in the garage. We got two 7 cubic foot freezers. This is where we store all the animals we've harvested. One freezer here, one freezer there. Pretty full this year. It's been a good year. So what I do is I process all the steaks first thing, get them cut up and vacuum sealed and stored. But my hamburger, I leave that to later in the season. I don't cut it up and process it right away because it's pretty labor intensive. So I freeze it once, and then later in the season when we have some more time when we're not on hunting out in the field, we thaw it out and we grind it up. In this refrigerator I have bought a pork shoulder, which we'll use to cut the hamburger. About 70% venison, about 30% pork. So we'll take you inside and show you how that's done. Right, so this is the hamburger bags we have. This one is Wyoming deer, 2019. Always label my bags. So like I was saying before, when we're hunting out in the field, we field dress everything right away. You can see our videos on that. We get on ice right away, and we're able to process the steaks. But as you'll see in this video, grinding up hamburger and processing hamburger is very labor intensive. So I freeze mine in these whole chunks rather than grind it right away, and I grind it later in the season when we have more time to be able to take a whole day and do a big batch of hamburger. So I got this soaking in some cold water, slowly defrosting. I actually don't mind if it's still a little frozen, because it makes cutting up the deer a little bit easier if the pieces are just a little frozen. I'll show you that a little bit later. So here's a couple bags we have of our venison, and then over here we have our pork, which we'll start cutting up, and I'll show you that next. So today we are grinding up some venison, and we'll show you how we do it. And after we have all of our hamburger ground up, then we'll also show you how we mix up the hamburger for some sausage and for some beef jerky and snacking sticks, and we might do some pastrami as well, something new I've discovered. So here is my pork that I use to cut the venison. And really, when you're grinding up for hamburger, you're wanting to get, depending on the size of your grinder, you're wanting to get the meat cut into chunks that easily go down the throat of the grinder. So the nice part, this isn't like cutting steaks where you have to be really precision on how you're cutting them. You're just cutting them into small chunks that work well to feed into the grinder. So I'll show you a little bit of what that looks like. Okay, so we have our pork here, and like I was saying before, really all we're doing is we're cutting up the pork into small enough pieces that they fit into the grinder. So this is pretty simple and straightforward. Like I said before, it's pretty labor intensive just because the amount of cutting and grinding multiple times takes a while. So really, it's just however you can most easily break down the meat into smaller pieces that can feed into your grinder. So you know, it's about the size that fits in my grinder. You have to make sure from trial and error that you're not cutting too big of pieces. But we cut up our pieces of pork, then we'll cut up our pieces of venison, and then I'll show you how we grind it in a second, but I'll show you the whole cutting up all of this, so the video won't take too long, but that's the gist of it. It's just breaking it down into big pieces and start slowly making it into smaller pieces, and quite honestly, the smaller pieces you make, the easier and faster it grinds, so kind of find a balance between the time it takes you to cut it up into pieces and how long it takes you to grind it. And I always keep my sharpening stick here, so I get about halfway through, I can hit my knife and put an edge back on it, make sure I'm still getting a nice clean cut. There you go. Okay, so we're going to start grinding now. We have all of our meat cut up in these small chunks we showed you before. Just wanted to show you, I use the coarse piece first and grind it twice, and then I'll finish up with a 3/4 inch for the finished grind. So I grind the pork once and the venison once, and then I mix it together for the final grind to get my consistency right. But that way you can kind of control the speed of the grinder. You can go faster, and you also get a better mix of your meat. So pretty straightforward. I'm sure most of you guys have ground meat before, but that was the one little step that I do, is I like to mix the venison all by itself on the first time, the pork all by itself on the first time, and then I combine the two, and I can really get that ratio down the way I like it. So we're going to make some snacking sticks today. I really like the High Mountain seasoning from Wyoming. What I like to do for fun sometimes, this comes with you can buy different flavors. This is the Hunter's Blend, but I also sometimes mix and match some of the other flavors. It comes with pretty straightforward instructions. So if I want to substitute Hunter's Blend seasoning for another one, today I'm going to use the sweet and spicy seasoning as a substitute. But pretty straightforward instructions. Shows you how many pounds of meat, how many tablespoons and teaspoons of the seasoning, and then how many tablespoons and teaspoons of the cure. They also have a whole muscle group if you're going to do that for jerky. We'll do some jerky later. So we have our hamburger that we ground up last night. We ground up about 100 pounds. Got a little late, so we have some jerky curing in the refrigerator, but today we're going to do some sausage. So I highly suggest that you buy a digital scale or have some kind of a scale before measuring out your hamburger meat. So I put this bowl on here, I've zeroed it out. I'll show you how we did that. You see it goes negative. I've zeroed it out with the tar so that we're at 0. We're not counting the bowl. But this batch I'm going to go with 3 pounds. And the instructions suggest that you try and do batches of 3 to 4 pounds per batch. Otherwise, with the cure and the mixing and everything else, it gets a little too much to deal with. So I'm a little bit over 3 pounds there. We'll get it right on the dot. Alright, we're there. So now that we have our 3 pounds of hamburger, alright, so now that we have our hamburger all measured out, one trick I did learn from watching a YouTube channel called the Wyoming Hunter is you can take the cure and the seasoning and you can dump it in here. It has instructions to use a 1/4 cup per pound of ice water. We have 3/4 of a cup here since we're doing 3 pounds. But he noted that if you mix the water into the seasoning and then put the water seasoning mix into the hamburger, it mixes much better. Which I use that tip and I completely agree to try and get this well mixed up. So the step we're going to do now is we're going to pour the water into the seasoning and the cure. We'll mix that up real good. The sweet and spicy's kind of got a Cajun to it, so kind of an orangey color to it. Really strong, good smelling seasoning. You can really smell like liquid smoke that they have in here. The other thing I'll note to you is this cure that helps bind the meat and also obviously cure it, but it has a pretty dramatic effect on the hamburger. It will turn the hamburger from a red color to a very brownish color, and they want you to, like with the jerky mixes, let it sit overnight in a refrigerator. And the first time I did this, I was a little alarmed about how brown the hamburger got, but that's just the chemical reaction of the cure working. It's not like if you see old meat in the grocery store that has a brown color to it. Nothing to be alarmed about. So now that I got this pretty well mixed up, you can do it a couple different ways. You could use a blender. We've done that in the past, but I'll tell you, this hamburger meat, once it has a cure on it, it also really sets up. And you use any kind of a mixer, it can be a little bit of a chore to clean it up because the hamburger basically turns to concrete. So I did the old-fashioned way. I've washed my hands thoroughly with soap and water. So I'm going to use my hands to mix this. I'll pour the mixture in, and I just knead it in really well to make sure you got a thorough blending of the meat. And once we get this done, I will pull out the sausage stuffer, and we will stuff this mixture into thin snacking sticks. Alright, we have our snacking sticks meat all here, and like I noted before, you can see that it's already changed color to this darker brown color. And we have a sausage stuffer, which you can use your meat grinder with attachments for stuffing, but again, as I noted before, with the cure in this meat, it really clogs up any kind of mechanisms and sticks to all the parts and pieces, which makes it pretty challenging to clean up. And the sausage stuffer has a vacuum seal on it with a rubber ring on the top compression plate. It really helps make sure you don't get air inside of your sausage casings. It makes for a good end product. So this 3-pound mixture doesn't quite fill up the container to the top, but just about right, a manageable amount of meat to be able to work with. So it just slips right in. Get it started so it stays in place. would tell you if you had a work table that you could use to bolt this down, that would be a great advantage because it does take a little arm strength to get this going. So these are collagen casings that come with the kit in my country. They're edible. Typically I'll peel them off, but you can eat them. And then just through trial and experience a little bit with my smallest nozzle of this size casing, I've learned that you can't put the whole casing on, and I wouldn't really want to have a sausage link much longer than this anyways to deal with for how you're going to cook it, either in a smoker or in a oven. So we get on as much as we can there, and then I pull it out a little extra, cut it off, and then I twist it and tie the end. We have a nice tight tie there. And then really this is a two-person job. Maybe if you had this bolted down you could do it one person and crank, but it takes pressure while you're holding back the meat coming into the casing so it doesn't blow it right off and you get a whole bunch of air pockets inside your casing. So slowly crank. I'll get it started and then I'll need some help to be able to do this. See, it's starting to come. Pressure is coming through the nozzle. Again, two-person job. There we go. So now you can see we're starting to fill the casing, and you just keep just enough pressure on it that you don't get any air bubbles in the casing. It'll just feed itself in. And as we get towards the end, I back it off too, because it still have some pressure there. And then hopefully you'll have enough of a casing left at the end that you can tie a knot. So we finished up our snacking sticks. The instructions say to put it in a airtight plastic bag to marinate in the refrigerator for at least 12 hours, no more than 24 hours. And then you can either bake them in the oven or put them in a smoker. And I've had really good success with this brand, and it tastes great. And after I get done cooking them, I cut them into bite-sized pieces. I put them in small vacuum seal bags and then freeze them, and then we can pull them out, throw them in a backpack and take them hunting or take them to the park or snack on them whenever you want. Now we're going to do some summer sausage. I have my 3 pounds already measured out on my digital scale like we showed you with the snacking sticks. We have the mixture of seasoning, jalapeno seasoning and cure. Right here we need to get some ice water out of the refrigerator. 3/4 cup. And again, my secret or my tip from the Wyoming Hunter was to mix the seasoning and the water together before you put it into the meat mixture. So we'll mix that up thoroughly. and then we'll put it in our sausage stuffer. Now this summer sausage has much bigger casings that are synthetic casings, and the instructions have us to put the casing in warm water for up to an hour to make it more pliable and easier to stuff. So we've been doing that over here. I'll pull that up. I have the casing soaking in water. So our next step is we'll show you how to stuff the sausage into the casing. Alright, so we filled up our sausage stuffer container like we did with the snacking sticks. We have the casing that's been soaking and is now pliable. So just like we did the snacking sticks, we load up the sausage stuffer. Now you can see I've traded out to the larger nozzle for this larger sausage. The casing comes pre-tied at the end. A little extra there for you to tie the other end. So we'll go ahead and cut the extra off and have it ready to go to tie the next end when we're ready. This is a much larger sausage, so it's helpful to have an extra hand. Let's see how I can do it on my own. So, unlike the collagen ones, or similar to, I guess, I'll push it all the way up to the end. So we're trying to keep any air from getting into the sausage casing. And you just have to apply pressure so that you're getting all the air out and getting your casing completely filled. This larger casing, 3 pounds, will make one sausage. It's a pretty big batch. And this one you can fill pretty much to the end because you're not trying to use the casing to tie it closed, you're using that string. So we'll try and use up all of our mixture into one casing, and we're just about there. So that's just about perfect. We'll back off. Let's see what we got here. Oh, that looks just about perfect. So we'll tie our string to the end of that casing. Again, same thing with this sausage, that you put it in the refrigerator for 12-hour minimum, 24-hour maximum, and then you can either smoke it or put it in the oven, and it's a great treat. Alright, thanks for watching. If you like our videos, please like and subscribe and hit the notification button to see more videos when we upload them. Thanks. Bye. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to make some beef jerky. We mixed this up last night, same High Mountain seasoning kit. You marinate it for at least 12 hours in the refrigerator overnight. Basically this is a makeshift jerky gun. It's a pastry gun, but works exactly the same as a jerky gun. Kind of works like a caulking gun from construction. We have been packaging up some hamburgers from the other hamburger that we made and vacuum sealing that so we can have that whenever we want to throw them on the grill. So we just load up the jerky gun, and again, this consistency, I can show you how the outside turns brown with the air, with the cure. That's why they want you to put it in a plastic baggie to try and keep it as airtight as possible while you're curing it. And again, the consistency of this meat becomes very firm with the cure in it. So we'll just load this gun up. And get all the air out of it that I can. Got the gun loaded up. And pretty simple process. It shoots it out in nice even strips. And then what I do is I use a butter knife to cut it to size. Once you get your dehydrator all loaded up, it's usually 4 to 5 hours per batch to dehydrate at 165. And then again, I'll cut this up in little pieces and vacuum seal it and put it in vacuum sealed bags and freeze it up, and then whenever you want you can pull out a bag and it defrosts really quickly and keeps all year long if you want. So pretty simple process. Just repeat that over and over again and fill up your dehydrator, and it's a great snack to have on the trail or any place you want. So we're all finishing up with our beef jerky. We're pulling them off the dehydrators. They've been on there for about 5 hours. We've been rotating them in and out. We take them over here, we cut them up in small pieces and little bags that are good bite-sized bags for our backpacks, and then we vacuum seal them up. And I'll show you guys some pictures of our sausage and how it came out and how we vacuum seal that up too.